I think we lied. I think we lied this time. It's telling us to be humble and sit down. You know what I'm saying? Let's make sure we live. How you doing today?
I'm good.
Go. Let me go ahead and turn this down. Don't want to be listening to that with my daughter on the phone. So, J. Marie, man. Jasmine, Marie St. James. Like, how many names you got? Too many. Well, it's good to see you here. And man, I'm real glad to see you in this Wu-Tang shirt. That means I raised you right. You know what I'm saying? Like they say when you train a child up, they will not depart or something like that. Train a child up in the way they should go. And who doesn't appreciate the Wu-Tang Clan? You know what I'm saying?
We're Wu-Tang fans.
So. And the thing I appreciate about Wu-Tang Clan is like 8 or 9 core members who are a group, and they have individual talents, and they come together to bring the Wu-Tang. But you got like Method Man and You God and Ghostface Killer, Old Dirty Bastard. These guys had their own separate record deals, and that was no one had ever did that before. You know what I'm saying? And so I thought that was pretty cool. So anyway, man, it's good to see you. I hadn't seen you in a week? Literally. You're my child who lives far away, right? And we went to New York together, spent New York together for a week, and I think that was the most time we spent together since we went to Canada when you were in the 6th grade. Yeah. By ourselves.
Yeah.
So talk about that trip. Tell me what you took away from hanging out with your old man in New York.
I mean, it's always fun. Definitely, we definitely are good in each
Get
other's
closer
space.
To the mic. Yeah.
We're good in each other's space.
Yeah.
We don't bother each other.
Yeah.
I could do my foodie thing.
Yeah.
You kind of chill out.
Yeah, do my rest thing.
Yeah, do your sleeping thing.
Yeah.
So no, it's always a good time.
Yeah. So kind of tell people what we're in New York for.
Yeah. So we have a client in New York. Shout out to Dr. Shay.
Yeah.
And we were filming for her upcoming podcast launch.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. We kind of went back to her old stomping grounds and the places that meant so much to her. And we captured these really dope stories.
Yeah.
And you're a really good storyteller. So you're good at getting the stories out of people.
Amen.
Which is an individual skill. It's not enough to be a videographer, but you need to know how to talk to people.
It's funny because, growing up, you telling the story. That was something you got in trouble for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Now storytelling is a whole profession.
Hey, it's a whole profession.
Highly coveted.
So I tell you the thing that I took away from New York, that it was hot. And I live in Texas.
Yeah.
And I was not ready for the level of heat.
I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, man, it was something else. It was like, it was painfully hot. Mm-hmm. But I was excited about, I'm gonna tell you what I liked about New York also is, okay, one day we were in Long Island City. Mm-hmm. Very diverse, very beautiful.
Yeah.
Then we went to Flushing, New York, and it felt like I went back to Seoul. It really felt like,
absolutely.
Felt like I was in Korea. Like everything was in Korean.
Dumplings were popping. They were butchering the duck right by the window.
Cutting the duck's neck.
Look.
You know what I'm saying?
They were efficient.
Then we went to the Bronx and it felt like I stepped back into the 80s.
Yeah.
And, it was kind of hood until we went on to the campus of Fordham University. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, and then it was like a paradise, like a green paradise. It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, living in Texas, everything is what it is black, white, or Hispanic. There's no, there's no culture like it is in New York. You know what I'm saying?
No, New York has a crazy amount of true diversity.
Yeah.
Like we think diversity is, like you said, like kind of 3 races mixing and mingling.
Yeah.
No, it's like every person that passed me in the street was not speaking English. Like it's actually a little weird if someone's passing you talking on the phone or talking to a friend and they're speaking English. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. But normally it's like, I don't even recognize this language. It's not even Spanish, French, Italian. It's like languages that I don't. Yeah. I don't know where that came from.
And then when we talk about like diversity, it seems in the South, it seems very forced. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Whereas up in Flushing, New York, the people from Korea, and I'm assuming they were from Korea, they got together with others from Korea and created their culture and invited us in.
Yeah.
And whether they were okay with being who they were by themselves. And it seems like
absolutely
here it's more like, well, you got to let more black people in. You got to let more women in. You got to let these people in.
I think in the South versus the North, Like the North has, I won't say it's always been like that. I don't really know enough to say that, but I think specifically in the South, the whole desegregation thing, we're so concerned with creating spaces for everyone within other people's spaces. So going into white spaces and creating space for Black people, for Mexican people, for people of color. But instead, I feel like in the North, what they do is they create their own space.
Right.
And then you can come up in their space if you want to. They can still, code switch and come to your space and exist, but they have their space. They're not fighting for a seat at the table. They have their own table.
Right.
And so I wish the South would kind of adopt that, but it's all by design that it's not like that. But I personally wish specifically Black people would stop trying to fight for a seat at the table and just start building our own tables.
Yeah, create a table factory.
Right. Like we have the resources, we have the talent,
and we drive the culture.
And we do drive the culture. And if we capitalize on our own social capital, like if we took that back, even a part of it, a piece of it, I think that'd be more impactful than making sure we hire for every 10 people hired, 2 Black people are hired.
Right. Speaking of the culture, we had talked about being humble. Mm-hmm. We're talking about Shakara Richardson, who's taking the track world by storm. She's killing the game. She's from Dallas, Texas, which feels good. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But she reminds me of the legend FloJo.
Flo, yes.
FloJo. Who
the nails,
the hair, and who I had the incredible opportunity to grow up around because she was coached by Uncle Bobby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I seen that firsthand. And a lot of people specifically, I won't say specifically, a lot of people are saying she should be more humble because she's out there when she wins the race,
she pointed at that clock.
She pointed at the clock. Look at me, and she's drawing a lot of attention to herself. How do you feel about, especially when it's the Black people telling you? I understand sometimes when the people from more calm cultures would tell you to don't be so Black.
Yeah.
But what about when the Black, especially the elders, tell you to be humble? What does that mean? What are they saying?
Be quiet. And I think that depending on what generation they're in, it's there's a valid reason why they said that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because it's like, as Black people, you didn't want to draw attention to yourself. That never ended well, right? So I can understand that. But as far as today, I don't agree at all. That girl put in more work than anyone telling her to be humble. I haven't seen, now if Serena Williams told her to be humble, I might pay attention, but like, no, there's no one that was quote unquote in the gym with her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That can really sit there and tell her to be humble. Why she got to be humble? Like the art of setting a goal and then obliterating that goal.
Right.
That's an unmatched feeling.
Right.
And so she deserves every second, every moment. If she wants to point at that clock, if she wants to do the Dougie, whatever she wants to do, I think she should be able to do it.
Right.
Unabated, because she took that. You know what I mean? Like that was not handed to her. She took that title and she deserves it.
Yeah. And one thing you were talking to me about earlier is that some people look at your greatness and when they see you kind of, celebrating it, it makes them uncomfortable in their mediocrity.
Absolutely. I think that greatness is something that, a lot of people don't understand. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that because I think I'm the greatest or I'm great, but I think that...
I think you're great.
Thank you.
I think you do.
I think you're a little biased.
I am, but train a child up, right? Yeah. And so I had to, in my opinion, instill the confidence because there's whole infrastructures and systems that tell you to be humble and to honor people higher, esteem people higher than yourself. Don't mean to have low self-esteem.
Yeah.
And it's almost celebrated this like, I don't deserve to be here. Nah, fuck that. I deserve to be here.
Absolutely.
I put the work in, here was the goal. I made it, or I'm on my way.
Yeah.
I have to, pump myself up sometimes.
Well, to me, that's the only difference, right? The only time I can see telling someone to be humble is if they haven't put in that work. If they're just the mouthpiece, if they're just talking about, what they gonna do, what they did, but they didn't put in that. I just feel like you look at people who are great, and they're always misunderstood in their time.
Yeah.
Right. People think they're extreme, think they're crazy. Like a really good example is Kanye West.
Absolutely.
I personally love me some Kanye. That does not mean I agree with everything he does.
Right.
Right. But the reason I love Kanye is because Kanye loves Kanye.
Yeah.
No one on this planet has the ability to love Kanye the way Kanye loves Kanye. And I think we all should have a little more of that in our lives, because he knows he's a genius. And whether people want to admit it or not, or whether you agree with what he does or not, Kanye's a genius.
Right.
And his talent is unmatched. He will go down in the history books long after he's gone.
Absolutely.
His effect on music, whether you're in the know about how deeply he's affected music, is irrelevant to the fact that he's put out, even if it take away him from the limelight, his artists. You know what I mean? The artists that he's fostered, the sound that he has, how the sampling, you know what I mean? Like he's a genius on the artist side, on the business side, on the producing side. You know what I mean? On getting people's attention side.
Yeah. And then, like, look how he broke into fashion.
Absolutely. And nobody wanted him in fashion. I think that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Again, Kanye put in the work. So what you see today or now, you see him being pompous and prideful, and you're like, you need to calm down. You see the billionaire Kanye who, has stock in Adidas and who has all these things popping. You didn't see the Kanye that barely got into fashion school. You didn't see that he went back to fashion school to literally learn how to become a designer.
Yeah.
He wasn't some celebrity that threw his name on, something
like on a t-shirt.
Like these other 5 designers that are like slaving away to make it. He put his name on it. No, he really went back and learned the basics of how to sew, how to everything. So when he says I'm the greatest and I'm the best, he deserves to say that because he put in the work. Yeah. And again, I think that's the caveat. It's like, I don't have to be humble when I put in the work, right? Because I deserve to say that.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at people like Muhammad Ali, or Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
These are people who, people pay. It's actually a great marketing technique. They pay to see them lose.
Absolutely.
There are certain people who are looking for Miss Richardson to lose. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
And then they want to use that and say, "Ooh, we told you to be quiet."
Right. And I find that problematic. You know what I'm saying? And like when Kanye compares himself to Walt Disney, people are like, what? But like you said, 50 years or 100 years from now,
Yeah, like I would imagine Walt Disney wasn't Walt Disney when he was alive.
Yeah, he wasn't saying, look at me.
Even if he was, like, no, it's not even about him saying it. People around him probably weren't saying it. They were like, wow, bro, like we get it. Like Disney is cool. Mickey Mouse is cool. But like, is this going to outlast you? Is it going to be here 100 years after you're dead? Probably not.
They didn't think Disney would own ESPN.
Yeah, I mean, or not just even ESPN, but it's like they didn't see the vision. You know what I mean? So if Homeboy got his head frozen under Disney because he's waiting to reanimate, I think he deserves to. Because that's some like forward thinking. You know what I mean? He was a genius. He was problematic.
Yeah,
geniuses aren't perfect, y'all, but.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
So let me ask you, from your experience as a young person, even when you were younger and you had all these ambitious ideas, but some of the elders around you were telling you to tone it down, to be humble, and specifically in the Black church or the Black Christian community, how do you handle that, and how do you, how did you kind of get around that?
People can only support you from where they're at,
right,
or what they've seen, right? So. Before something impossible is done, it's impossible, right? Until it's not.
Right.
And for that person that does it, that steps on the moon or whatever it is, insert any example here, there's no one really in your life that can truly support you with the vision you have, because it's not their vision.
Yeah.
They can only support you from what they've seen. Right. And so what I learned was the people who were telling me to be quiet hadn't accomplished anything. No one who had, that I looked up to, or who was a mentor of mine, or accomplished something, or was trying to accomplish something, ever told me to sit down and be quiet.
Right.
Because why? Also, where do you have this time? Right? Like, you have to be not doing nothing to have the time to tell me to be quiet. Gotcha. That means you're front row seat, you're a fan. You know what I mean? You're paying attention.
Yeah.
Because the people who are doing stuff, they don't have time to tell me to sit down because they're trying to do something.
Right.
Or they see the vision, they see the, the drive, and they want to help, or they get out of the way. But typically I personally feel like, mediocrity is, to me, just as hard as greatness.
Really?
Absolutely.
Speak on
and
that.
the reason it's a different level. It's a different level of hard, but it's almost like choose your hard, right? Because when you're mediocre, everything triggers you. Everyone around you that's trying to do something triggers you, and I feel like it prevents a lot of people from moving forward because they're afraid of what people will say about you're afraid about that guy you went to high school with that never left his hometown, and has 8 baby mamas and is collecting all types of checks. Like, you're afraid that he's gonna think that you're crazy for starting a barbecue business. You know what I mean? Like, you're more concerned with his opinion than like moving forward. And it's easy to fall into that trap, but it's like anyone who steps out, it's very brave, but it solicits a lot of attention.
Right.
That can be a lonely place, right? Because if nobody wants to fail. Nobody wants to fail in public. Ooh, that's a horrible cover photo.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll go away. Hopefully it'll go away. No. You shouldn't be over here looking at production. I'm over here producing. You're the talent. You're the talent. You're the talent. I think a lot of people sabotage the success. I remember a few years ago, there's a very good drummer that I know in Dallas. And I was like, hey, man, you want to come to this music? Are you coming to the music conference? And he was like, man, if the Lord say the same, I don't know. I can't afford. I don't know where I'm staying. Yeah, if the creek don't rise, I don't know where I'm staying. I said, let me tell you something. He said, well, I got my airline ticket. I said, I tell you what, you get to LA, I got you. You get to LA, I got you. And put you up. So I went. I forgot because I had took 6 people out there with me. Yeah. I came back and I seen him. I was like, man, what happened to you? He's like, man, I didn't have it. Before he can say I didn't have a place to stay, I said, man, you full of shit, homie. I mean, you are in your own way. Yeah. I told you that I had you. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people are afraid to be chosen or afraid to succeed. And so they sabotage that. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I think that goes back to my point where it's like mediocrity can be just as hard as greatness. Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to be great at something, it's an all-consuming, you know what I mean? And greatness don't have to be like music or track. You know what I mean? Greatness could be, I want to be a great parent. Yeah. I want to be great at my job. I want to be a great friend or, family member. But it's something that consumes you. It's something that you're working towards and you're always kind of in motion towards it. But when you're mediocre, one, you're triggered by everything. And then you spend your life trying to sabotage the people who are trying. Yeah. Right. And that has to be hard. And I'm not saying hard as in I sympathize with you. I think it's whack. Yeah. Right. But it has to be hard to sit at home and watch people pursue their dreams. And that the only reason that you couldn't is because of you. Because at some point you have to realize that. You gotta look in that mirror. You got to stop blaming Jesus. You got to stop blaming the devil. You got to stop blaming, the creek. Yeah. Hey, where is this creek? Where are all these creeks coming from? Y'all live by a lot of creeks. Dang.
Oh my God. I've not seen a creek rise.
I haven't seen a creek that I haven't gone out of my way to go see. There's no creeks in my general area.
Hey man, let's go check out this creek. Look, to see if this creek gonna rise, to see if we can be successful.
I don't walk out into my driveway and be like, dang, there go that creek again. Can't go to HEB.
Yeah. Well, I do know, I did hear, I read an article one time where where we live, where I live in downtown Dallas, if the creek rose before they built I-35, you couldn't get downtown. So maybe
bro, I ain't coming to your party today, bro.
If the Lord said the same, and the creek don't rise, you know what I'm saying? And what I like to tell people, man, is the chosen often choose themselves. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there's not somebody at the top saying, you know what, I'm gonna let Troy win. This person's gonna win. Or when you play a football game, you're like, okay, but they got everybody.
I'll let you have it, bro.
Yeah, so this team got a chaplain. This team got a chaplain, but there's guys up there saying, "Man, I'm gonna see who's gonna win this Super Bowl." I'm just gonna. I'll make him fumble.
You absolutely choose yourself. There's no light beam that spotlights on you one day, and the voice in your head is like, "You're gonna start a skincare company." Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's gonna be $1 million brand. That doesn't happen. Anything usually. I mean, not to my knowledge. Yeah. I ain't never seen it.
Well, and like I said, the chosen often choose themselves. Yeah. And you start putting yourself in position.
But I mean, if we want to go biblical with it, right? Let's put one out for the Christians.
Amen. Y'all ready? Because it's the one.
And excuse me if it's a little rough around the edges, but Jesus said, "Come as you are." Yeah. So I'm coming as I am. Mm-hmm. And basically, the prophets, Jesus God chose people who weren't the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he was basically flipping people like spies. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you be over here killing Christians. I'm going to use you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think people need to get out of their head like, oh, I'm not qualified. I don't have a background in this. So
Right.
I don't know anything about it. When what's the saying? God don't call it what he doesn't choose the qualified, he qualifies the chosen.
Hey, hey, look, man. You know what I get? You know, like I remember when Kevin Durant won the MVP. Mm-hmm. Right? You know who Kevin Durant is, right?
Yes, I know who.
I'm just, I know you don't follow sports like that, but he got up here and said, "I don't deserve to be here. I'm just a kid from DC." I'm like, yo, whoa. You hit the genetic lottery.
Yeah.
You're 7 foot with the wingspan of an 8 footer. And when you were 9 years old, your parents recognized your talent and they took you out of pickup games. They put you with a coach who didn't let you do pickup games, and you have worked towards this goal for your whole life. And LeBron James says the same thing. And I actually think it's detrimental for people to say that because, I can't do it. Like, for real.
Yeah,
like, if I can do it, you can do it. Whoa.
Absolutely not.
That you have such a unique talent that you've been gifted with, blessed with, or whatever you believe, that now the gift is really making room for you.
Yeah.
Like, I have a gift. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I have several gifts. Mm-hmm. And they're mine. And someone else can come and do the same thing that I do, and it don't materialize.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's not good or bad.
It just is.
It just is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so one thing I realized, like, even when we talk about raising children, I realized early that when I look at the greatness in all three of my children, it is in different spaces and different lanes.
Yeah.
It is not the same. And I think I watch people try to parent their kids the same way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that's one thing I admire, and I've said it, I think I even said in the last podcast, I'm very jealous of James.
Absolutely. You said
right? Because he's known what he's wanted to do since
Is it jealous or envious?
3.
And is that the same or is it different?
I don't know if there's really a difference.
Yeah.
Envious sounds worse to me for some reason.
To me, it sounds like something that you appreciate. It's like, wow, I would like to be like LeBron James. I would like to be 6'8" and 250. And,
right. Yeah, but okay. I can appreciate this about him.
Yes.
Right. I think it's absolutely amazing because it's not something you see often in anyone, not even like the family. Nah.
Anyway, because they say like 80% of people who get a degree don't work within
that degree. Yeah.
And so then you get all the way to college, you go to school 4, 6, 8 years, and you still don't end up doing that, right?
Yeah.
And then you got someone like James who picked up a pair of sticks at 2. And he's still.
And there's never been a question. And I bring that up to say, you guys raised me to be a businesswoman.
Right.
You didn't raise James to be a businessman.
Not at all.
Right? You raised James to be a drummer. Right. And that's what he wanted to do. And that's 1,000% fine because now he's not only working in his field, but he's confident in his field. And his whole childhood like put him in the position to be where he's at now. Right. He didn't have to wait until after college or after he became an adult and start drumming part-time to try to figure out if it's something he could do full-time and then wean himself off of it for a year. Like, the rest of us kind of have to figure it out on the back end, kind of like what we want to invest in. And then we have to go back. We have to be like, you know what? Let me take a drumming class. Let me take a music theory class and see how I like it. James had it the whole way. And I don't think that's going to happen for everyone, right?
No. Mm-hmm.
But it's like specifically raising kids, if you see something in your kid from an early age, you should definitely pinpoint it and then hone in on it. But you also never forced him to drum.
Absolutely.
Right? So it was always everything you guys supported him in, it was like his choice.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, because I think a lot of times the one who survives, the black kid who survived, the creative who survived, is he was just super strong, right? Because I can't tell how many times I hear from successful, like motivational speakers that talking is what got them in trouble. So their gift was and so they were able to, and then so many people get trained out of their passion that they get to be my age and figure out they don't know what they want. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if you judge a fish by his ability to climb a tree, he will always think he's a failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you put a monkey in water,
you gonna see him fail.
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
So I think that's just like the modern school system.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, which don't get me started on that.
Well, when we talk about business, we put you around, took you to business meeting, had you mentored by different business people, right? And that works for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, and even then I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do specifically, but I was always surrounded by just great, dope people,
right?
You know, and then I think I was surrounded by people who valued success outside of money.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't about like how much money they made money, but
Right.
it wasn't about that. What I noticed is like the most successful people weren't chasing the bag.
Gotcha.
As we like to say, they were literally just pursuing their passion.
And then
the money followed it.
It followed.
And then they became the best at their passion.
Yeah, it was a byproduct. The
right.
money was a byproduct.
The money is like it's gonna happen, you know.
It's the evidence.
But it wasn't like they didn't set out like how can I make money with, you know, being a florist.
Well, look, you know what? Speaking of like child raising, you know, one of the things I seen on my Facebook from like 12 years ago was like when I was growing up, and I'm still scarred from this a little bit, is we couldn't drink our drink before we finished our food. Remember going to grandma's house and you just have it?
What is that about?
I don't know.
What are these unwritten rules? Like we were talking the other day about I've been posting online about how I've been counting my calories.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of negative connotations around counting calories, and I understand. In media, it's portrayed as something people do when they have eating disorders, you know, or things like that. And it's not healthy, and it's not, you know, obviously eating disorders are not healthy or safe. But calorie counting is essentially just data collection.
Gotcha.
Right. So if you have a specific goal, if that goal is to gain weight, if it's to lose weight, if it's to maintain weight, if it's heart health, you know, whatever it may be, logging your food for a specific period of time, for me 2 weeks, is a great way to see what is actually happening.
Analytics.
It's data and analytics, right?
Yeah.
And no industry can survive without data. You got to know what's going on. And it's so crazy because I feel like I tell people this and they're like, oh no, don't be that person. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right. Don't be that person that's looking for the calorie count at the restaurant. Don't be that person. And I'm like, yo, I'm hitting my goals. Yeah. You know what I mean? I wasn't hitting my goal before, which is why I started doing this, because I needed to know where was I slacking? Like what was the gap? And so people can be, you know, sometimes so against the progress you're trying to make. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's not just about, so you can support me in my goal. I can tell you, you know, I'm trying to lose 5 pounds, right? And you can say, oh, I support you. You know what I mean? Go girl, get it. Live your best life. And as soon as I say, well, I'm counting my calories for, you know, 2 weeks to a month, and then I'm working out 5 times a week, you know, yoga, whatever. And you're like, don't be that girl.
Well, you know, I think what it is a couple things. One is you can't manage what you don't measure.
Absolutely
and people go through this life with anecdotal evidence, like, you know what, I feel this way, or, you know, you just check your balance every day because you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
But I think that's the business person in you. And that doesn't just, you know, business is not just about business. It's about your life. So you're making a business decision, in my opinion, to lose the weight. Right. For whatever reason it is, it's a business, and you're going to approach it like you would,
I would a client
like,
or a problem.
What's the cost? What's the profit?
Absolutely.
You know, and people, a lot of people don't understand that because they don't understand business.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
And then it's like finding ways to, you know what I mean? I don't believe in restriction. So a lot of people are like, oh, those two things can't coexist, right? You can't count your calories
and eat cake.
Also eat cake. Yes, I can.
Are we going to get some Charles?
Look, we might. What time is it? 8:30.
Yeah,
they close at 10.
Okay, I think we have time.
The churros, let me tell you, are within my calorie count. Okay.
Yeah.
So people don't understand duality. Mm-hmm. You can do both. But from a business perspective, a client may come to me and say, you know what? I want to be impactful and I want to be authentic, but I want to pay a bunch of influencers to talk about my stuff.
Hey,
right? That's duality, right? So we can do both. But how do we do both? We have to figure that out. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is how I figure out how to still eat my cookies and my cake. Yeah. You know, while also reaching my goals.
So when I was talking about the water, right? Mm-hmm. Remember going to grandma's house, even as you had your own parents, and your grandma and grandpa wouldn't let you drink your water after you ate.
What is that about?
I don't know. So when I went to the military, I got in trouble if I didn't drink 16 ounces of water before I ate. And their reasoning was, you're in San Antonio, it's 100 degrees, and a lot of people weren't from Texas, and you need to be hydrated. Okay. So I went back and asked my mom and my dad, why was it we couldn't drink our water until after we ate? And they said, oh no, that's the way my parents did it. And I said all that to say, one thing I appreciate about you is you you remind me a lot of your mother. I see a lot of myself in you, but I also see that you look at every decision for it's what it is for your generation, and you make decisions that are outside of what we do. And I want to talk a little bit about that. And one was we went and picked up the groceries.
Oh yeah.
And you think grocery shopping is a monumental waste of time.
Absolutely.
Where women from a different generation thought that was serving the family. Tell me about that.
Grocery shopping, cleaning the house. I'm not talking about just like keeping it clean. I'm saying like deep cleaning the house every Sunday, which is like a Black woman's holiday. You know, I don't believe in none of it. Right. I'll do it if I have to, but it's a waste of time. Once you recognize how much your time is worth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're a storyteller. You're a businessman, videographer, wearer of many hats.
Cutting grass ain't part of my thing.
Why are you cutting grass?
No.
Why?
I'm not.
For 3 hours on a Sunday.
I'm not.
How much money could you make with those 3 hours?
Yeah.
Right? And so I think we get caught up in like what we have to do, and obviously don't do it if you can't afford it. But if you can get your groceries delivered,
yes.
If you can get your meals prepped, once you realize that that's not the best use of your time,
yeah,
it makes life a lot easier and clear, because I make more money with my time when I'm working on my projects than when I'm cleaning the whole house on a Sunday. And
before I get too far away from that, I want to bring up Terence Jackson. Terence Jackson actually made a comment on that comment from 10 years ago, right? He says, because kids wasted foods by filling up on liquid. And what I believe is we came from a generation of people, our parents' where you didn't eat every day.
Yeah.
Like the food was like a really like, it wasn't like people are not eating in Africa. It's like sometimes we don't eat.
Yeah.
So I don't want you filling up. And so what I think is caused is an epidemic of obesity, because a lot of the foods that we had access to were not good foods. And so people from my generation, like when I grew up, there were no fat people. Like it was rare. Like the guy named Rerun on TV, he was famous just because he was heavy. You know what I'm saying? There was one or two. But now most people in my generation are heavy. And I think it's because of the comfort food that we've consumed based on scarcity.
I don't know.
Go for it.
So I think it's a little more complex than that.
Well, go shoot. And that's why I like that you can disagree with your old man right here on the podcast. Go ahead and break them off
in public. In public.
In front of everybody.
I don't know. I think, for one, specifically for the kids thing, right? Mm-hmm. From what I've experienced, you're supposed to, I've heard both ways, right? And it's really hard when it comes to being healthy, because everyone comes out with a new guideline of how to be healthy every 2 years, right? You got to kind of pick what works for you. I've heard that drinking water before helps you not eat as much.
Yes.
Right. And I've heard, and that's a good thing. Yeah. And then I've heard, you're not supposed to drink a lot of water when you eat, because it dilutes your stomach acids and it causes digestion to take longer. I mean, and so I've heard like wait 20 minutes after you eat and then drink water. So I've heard kind of like both of these. Yeah. I personally just try to drink a lot of water throughout the day,
and a lack of physical activity, because
yes, right. But I personally, as far as like, I mean, the eating, specifically talking about the kids, I didn't agree with you can't leave the table until you eat all your food.
Yeah, the Cream Plate Club.
I don't agree with it, and here's why. Portion control is portion control is real. Yeah. And my mother was really big on portion control. And so when I'd go to my grandma's house and she'd load up a plate that's the size of my head with, ribs and mashed potatoes,
real bacon,
cobbler and bacon, pork bacon. We didn't eat that at home. And so I'm looking at this like, there's no way I'm going to finish this. And so you just sit at the table until, maybe you find a dog to feed it to, or you barter with one of your cousins, like, hey, if you eat this broccoli, I'll eat your mac and cheese, like we'll siphon it out. But I don't believe in that either, because it forces the behavior of overeating. Yes. And also we should eat, we're born, babies don't overdose on breast milk. You know what I mean? They eat what they need. Right. And so I feel like we're born with this intuitive factor of knowing how much food we need to eat. And our body will tell us when we're hungry, and we eat when we're hungry. I know fasting it can be good, right? But I believe in eating when you're hungry. Yeah. Like if you're not hungry in the morning, don't eat. That's fine. But I think our bodies are smart enough to let us know, like, yo, I need some more food. But I think we train our bodies to just, that full means like, I need to like,
you got the itis.
Yeah. Like nobody talks to me. I need to take a nap. Like that's not full. That's like too much.
I want to go back to your picking up the groceries, and you said something like, if you can afford it. I think that you can't not afford it, right? Mm-hmm. Meaning that, I tell people all the time, you have this debate among people my age that, oh man, bring back the people who bring out your groceries, the cashier, because that machine is replacing a job, and I'm telling them, hey, if you go grocery shopping, I study supply chain management. If you grocery shop, if you get out of your car and you go up and down the aisles, you are officially an unpaid warehouse worker. You're called a picker. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so when you're looking at that machine that's replacing a worker, it's you who's actually replacing a worker, because when Jasmine went and opened her trunk and the people from HEB put the groceries in, they went in and their job is to go up and down the aisles. So you said there's a lot of people in there. Like when you go to the grocery store now, there's a lot of people in the shirt, the official shirt of the company.
If it's Amazon for Instacart, if it's the blue shirt for HEB, if it's, the Whole Foods, I think they have like a brown shirt. You see a bunch of people rolling around like these wheelies, these shelves. Yeah. And it's like they're grocery shopping for us.
Yes.
And then they either delivered, we were getting it delivered. We started doing curbside, and I just go pick it up. But yeah, we've created jobs.
Yeah. And that creates job, and it creates more time, because it took us, when you said, like, I would have never in 53 years volunteered to go to the grocery store with you to make groceries. No. Just because that's like an hour, mm-hmm. right? But we went up, we pulled up, text the information, opened the trunk, and within 10 or 15 minutes, we were back home doing the things that we needed to do. And like a lot of people, especially for, like people like me and you, and even the people on here, Derek and Terence, Clifton, my friend, is like they look at, well, it ain't always about the money. Well, I make more money if I'm doing this, but it's the time. Mm-hmm. Like right now, I'm dealing with a friend of mine who has a serious work ethic. Yeah. And he's working so much that he doesn't have any time to kind of relax. Yeah. And sometimes just your rest time.
Well, the time is the only thing we can't get back.
Yeah.
You can make that check back. You can get more money. Mm-hmm. We can't get the time back. So I think once you really realize that that's the most valuable resource mm-hmm. on the earth, you start to treat it a little different. It becomes less about, can I afford, let's just say a maid, and then some people enjoy to clean. So I'm not talking to those people, right?
Look. You're one of the few Black women that I met in my family that doesn't think cleaning gets you like VIP to the Jesus room. You know what I'm saying?
Let me tell you something. This is a completely different topic, but I'm just going to go real high level on it.
Yes.
Cooking and cleaning are really no longer desirable, like, traits.
Gotcha.
I won't say they're not desirable, right? You want someone that I know how to cook.
Absolutely.
If you follow me on Instagram, I know how to cook.
Gotcha.
Right? I know how to clean. Gotcha. I know how to do laundry and keep the house smelling nice and all the things that Jill Scott says she does, to keep her man.
Yes.
Like, I know how to do all those things, but it's like...
She do a lot. Jill Scott. But okay, we'll stay on the domestic side this show. Okay.
We'll stay on domestic. But yeah, but it's like, controversial statement alert. Nobody's gonna I have to phrase this like very carefully, because I can't make it seem like marriage is a prize, because I don't believe that marriage itself is a prize. Gotcha. Like getting proposed to,
she said yes.
Right.
I said yes or whatever.
And marriage is beautiful. Engagement is beautiful. And I love seeing all the love on my timeline. But I think we need to stop thinking of marriage as an accomplishment that women make. Mm-hmm. Like something we've accomplished something. Getting married is not the accomplishment. Staying married is.
Gotcha.
Right. So.
Or building something.
When you're married or having that partnership, that's really the accomplishment. It's not a woman's greatest accomplishment to get married.
Right. Like it was in the 60s or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. So in really quick story, I remember you did an April Fool's prank.
Yeah.
Where you said, me and my boyfriend were getting married, and that post went up on social media.
Damn near viral.
Like people, thousands of people comment, congratulate. Why wasn't I invited to the wedding? I mean, people, it was like I just said, I was just crowned pope.
Well, what it was you did a maternal, not a maternal.
No, a photo shoot, a bridal shoot.
A bridal shoot. Not maternal.
Not maternal. Yeah. but that post went up. And then I remember you posted about me graduating college at 18.
Yeah.
And it was like, it wasn't crickets,
Yeah.
But compared to the Jasmine got married, and Jasmine got a degree at 18, it was not anywhere close to being even, because society puts more weight on whether or not, some guy gives me a ring, than the literal accomplishment that I made. Right.
It's funny because I know men my age who send their daughters to college just to get their
MRS degree.
Yeah. That's their whole goal, is to leave your father's house and go to your husband's house, which I think is like a shortcut to an unhappy life.
Yeah, I think that, every woman should control her destiny. Now, this is not to bash the people who dreams of being wives and mothers. There are people out there who their whole dream, you know what I mean, is to be a wife and to be a mother. And I think that takes a very special, amazing person. There are some amazing wives and mothers out here who their calling, their ministry, their talent is being married. And I mean, I'm for real. Like, marriage is hard, y'all. It doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? Like, maintaining a marriage should be a job on its own.
Yeah.
Being a mother is 5 jobs on its own.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So if that's what you saw for yourself, that's fine. I think that it shouldn't be the standard.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be, people talk to me, and I've been dating my boyfriend for a while, and it's like, oh, when y'all getting married? When you having kids? Like, you getting up there.
Hey, like, when are you going around the world? That's what it should be actually.
Exactly. And so when I tell them, you know what, in August, we're spending the month of August in Mexico City because we decided to.
What about the people with children? The people with children ain't doing that.
And the people with kids are like, dang.
The married kids.
What am I going to do with these kids? I got to come visit. You know what I mean? But it's like, and again, that's just 2 different phases in life. But
Terence said, not society, women do. It's the women.
See, you know what? I respectfully disagree. Okay. I agree, and I both agree and disagree, Terence. I think that, yes, it's a social conditioning. So I don't think that if you took women and you put them in their own utopia, they would dream about, being married and washing this dude's clothes for the rest of their life and making sure they take his dishes out of his office because he don't never wash dishes. And, I don't think taking on a child, a man child.
Yeah.
Not to bash men, but it's like, I don't think we dream of indentured servitude, right?
I don't know. I kind of think they do. It's like,
I think we're conditioned to. And then I think when we get there and we realize it's indentured servitude, like, come on, for a second, let's just think. Yeah. What does a man gain out of marriage?
Today, like my generation, or like a brand new man?
Well, let's just take it from the social construct of marriage, right? Let's take it from the.
What
do you gain?
To me, I don't think you gain. I think if you describe if a woman described a perfect man, she described a slave.
You think so? Because I think if a man described the perfect woman, he described a slave.
Okay.
That doesn't talk.
So I'm saying is that in my generation. Or right above me, like my mom and dad, in exchange for access to sex, regular sex, you own half my world. Okay. And you can make my life hard if I leave.
Yeah. So I don't think that way. Okay. Right. So here's what I think, and maybe I'm not a man, right? So I can't speak from that side. Let me speak from me speaking as a woman.
Gotcha.
When I hear marriage, and I'm not saying that all marriage is like this, but I'm talking about the 1950s, like good old boy marriage. What I hear is, okay, you decided to marry me.
Yes.
When you get down on a knee and you propose, that is the last thing you do that comes from you. Okay. Right? Everything after that, the wedding, I probably planned it. Yeah. We have kids. You ain't popping no babies out. I got to sit down for my career and make sure these kids are okay. Yeah. Your career, nobody asks a working man, to
come home.
When you gonna take a break from your career and pop some kids out?
Gotcha.
Derek. Nobody's like, oh, when are you gonna take some time off? And you're almost 30, Derek. Yeah. Where are the kids?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nobody assumes that, right? And so I think that I don't necessarily gain anything as a woman. Now I gotta cook, and now I gotta clean. I gotta do that with 2 babies on my hip. Yeah. Right. And then now let's not even talk about the fact that you saying you're not getting none no more because I done popped 2 babies out, and it might not look the same, and and now now you want to you talking to your secretary after work.
Look at
Derek, we called you out. I'm sorry.
Hey,
where the kids at, Derek?
So is this why men and women are no longer getting married? Because I can talk, I can sit here and say the same thing. A lot of young men that I meet, they don't find any value in marriage. Like cooking and cleaning is not worth half of my.
Well, I agree with that. That's what I was saying. Okay. I don't think cooking and cleaning is like why you should get married because you want someone again like hire a maid. Like the job can be done. And now that women are making, just as much money, if not more,
right?
Technically, Black women are really superseding their male counterparts when it comes to education and starting new businesses. Mm-hmm. So now men have to find their masculinity in something other than being the provider. Gotcha. Your manhood can't be based around how much money you bring home. If I bring home the exact same. So the deal was you bring home the money, I do everything else.
Well, let me tell you what I think flipped. What? So when I met your mom, she was outstandingly beautiful. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
What did Sam say?
Sam says, "Well, what do you gain from being single?"
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about it.
Well, let me finish what I was saying about this. So we're gonna leave Sam's comment up there. Mm-hmm. When I met your mom, I didn't think of her earning potential as something that factored into my decision to want to spend, whatever I thought forever was.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't anticipate that you would.
Right, and so. But now, if a young woman is looking at a man, she's like, well, does he make 6 or 7 figures? Like his earning potential is now front and center. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But so we've gotten rid of all the gender roles, but we still want 1950s values when it comes to dating.
I don't agree.
I'm not. We have to agree. But what we're seeing is women are saying all these.
Are you saying that you got to make more? Is that what you're saying? Is the 1950s?
No. It's like. When I'm saying 1950s, we want the man to pay for everything, whether he has the money or not, right? Mm-hmm. Right. And in exchange for that, you're going to get some coochie, mm-hmm. right? We're going to clean the house, So in our household, we got rid of those gender roles, except for trash. Y'all didn't want to take our trash. We still take our trash. Right. And so now young women are looking at this man and say like, well, I make 80,000. He got to at least make what I make or more. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Well, when I met your mom, I don't know how much money she was making, but it wasn't what I was making, or it wasn't my potential. But she looked at me as a person who can be a provider, protector, Yeah. And I think the roles have kind of flipped, and brothers are saying like, well, shoot, like I don't want to have to be financially hazed to be somebody's spouse. You know what I'm saying? What do you gain from being single?
Broke, just say that. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Okay. So really quick, let me address this, and I promise we'll address what Sam said. Yeah. I don't think that, you should marry for someone's earning potential, but I will say this. I think what a lot of women want is that if I own my own agency, I own my own business, I make my own money. Right. I don't think my boyfriend is dating me because I make money. I think he's aware of my earning potential and, where it will go. But I think with modern marriage, what I'm seeing is couples getting together because they truly love each other. Yeah. It's not this exchange of goods. You know what I mean? Like in the 1950s model, to me, is outmoded because it was an exchange of services, right? I pay for everything, you take care of the house, because I can't do all of that. It was a partnership, but it was an exchange. So you had women entering into marriages that they probably didn't even like him, but that's a good man. Yeah, he worked for the postal service. You know what I mean? He gonna have them benefits, and y'all can have kids. That's a good man. You stick with that man. Yeah, and it's like, bro, like not to bash anyone who works for the post office, but now it's like I feel like we have more options. Gotcha. So now that women have more options, because I don't need you to pay my bills. I'm not going from my dad paying my bills to my husband paying my bills, right?
Or your boyfriend.
Or my boyfriend. Because what that is a means of control, right? So now that I have the option to say, I pay my own rent, I can live where I want, do what I want, whatever. What do you bring to the table? So I think that whole like equal or more is more like, I don't think women would have a problem with dating someone less than what they made if they had a plan, if they believed in that plan. There's plenty of women who have supported their men through school, through entrepreneurship, whatever, because they believed in him as a person. Women don't want to, in my opinion, let me speak for me. I don't want a rich man. I want a man with a plan. Yeah. Right. And in my experience, man with the plan the money comes. right? The money comes after that. Now, if his plan is to join the Peace Corps to the desert, that's not the man with the plan I'm looking for.
Right.
But I'm a woman with a plan. So I at least need you to have a man with a plan. I will say this. Men advertise. Let me look at the camera. Where's my mic? Men advertise for the women that they say they hate. So if you in the club wearing $900 sneakers, throwing $800 in Casamigos tequila on girls so they can come to your section, and then the girl you dating wants you to keep that same energy, and you want to turn around and say women want too much, you marketed and advertised to that woman.
Yeah.
If you want a woman that likes park dates and drinking coffee and spending $10 at a time, you need to take yourself to the park.
Yes.
Don't meet her in the club.
Right.
In a section.
And you said it. Was that you who told me? You said, men said they complain about independent women is the ones who can't afford a dependent woman.
Yeah, the women that complain about women being
the
men that complain about women being independent can't afford a dependent woman.
Ooh, break that down for me.
So the opposite of independence is dependence. So you mad because your girl worked too much. You mad because she got money.
Right.
She ain't got to listen to you. And that's what you mad about. But a dependent woman, you really want to look at your credit card statement and can't explain the last $3,000, right? Is that the life you want? And if it is, cool, right? There are women out there for that. There are men out there for that. But let me tell you something. The main men that are saying women don't want too much and, she's too independent. Wait, you want her not to be able to make a move without you? You want her to quit her job when y'all start dating so she could just be there?
Yeah.
Just be there.
So what's the benefit of, what do you gain for being single? I'll say what I'm watching with you being single, because you got married friends with kids, is, they can't go spend a month in Mexico. But what do you say?
I think what you gain for being single, specifically not in a relationship, is clarity. Right? So let's say, for instance, you do want, and I'm not bashing dependent women. Let's say you want a dependent woman. Let's say you want to take care of your woman. You don't want her to work. You don't want her to lift a finger, deck her out, whatever. That's what you want. Okay, well, don't date if you ain't got the money for that. You know what I mean? Like, you need to develop yourself so you can have clarity around the type of person that you want to go for. And if that's something you can offer, then go after that person. I think being single, it gives you a chance, one, to date around and figure out if that's even what you want. Because some people want stuff that, like, for instance, I think that people should marry more strippers.
Woo!
Hot take.
Talk about it.
I think that there are a lot of men's marriages who have ended because they cheated with a stripper, got into a relationship with a stripper. And in my mind, I'm like, why didn't you just marry the stripper? They married the good girl because they thought that's what their mama wanted. That was the woman. But at the end of the day, you just, like Bow Wow said, I just love strippers.
Amen.
So go marry the stripper. Stop marrying the person that you think you're supposed to be with and marry the person that you actually want to be with.
Damn. Then that's the hot take. Derek, can you write that comment in? Because Derek is good at writing down comments.
Derek said, you mad because your good girl ain't a stripper.
Right.
You know what I mean?
She ain't doing stripper shit.
Now you making her life uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Now she don't understand what she did wrong because she's been a good girl the whole time. She's been going to church every Sunday. Yeah. And you mad because she don't own no pair of lucite heels. Like,
I don't know what those are, but there are a lot of strippers in church. Stripper heels. Okay.
Strippers go to church too.
Yeah.
So you can get you a stripper that goes to church.
My boy Gabe, well, first of all, before I go to that, Derek said, I don't want a woman who wants a hard-working man.
Same.
And Gabe said, men ain't secure enough to marry the stripper. Oh,
well, then that's on you, player.
Yeah.
And you should have been single long enough to gain that, again, clarity, security.
I mean, because I believe, I don't know, I'm going to speak from a man's standpoint. You want exclusivity, right? And if you got a stripper, she out there, she doing the Uber with her booty.
You met her as a stripper and you loved her that's why you liked her. Yeah. Right. So
that's her job.
When Aaliyah, when Drake tried to retire Aaliyah, she said, I'm not retiring my jersey. You met me as a stripper. That's why you fell in love with me. You don't get to take me out of the game. Gotcha. I can get out the game when I'm ready to get out the game. So if you're not comfortable dating the person you're actually attracted to, that's on you. You don't have to do it. But what you probably shouldn't do is make the girl that doesn't look, act, dress, think like the woman you actually want miserable for the next 60 years in marriage because you can't go after what you actually want.
So Sam says it's not the stripper. Hold on a second. The comments are moving too fast.
Okay, y'all.
It's not the stripper. Men don't care about job titles. Men will have sex with the preacher's wife.
You right, Sam?
Yeah. So
look, the stripper is an example, right?
Here go Derek. Hey, Derek got one of these comments you got to really read because he's in his bag. You gain the opportunity to take advantage of an option without being responsible for someone else's condition. I kind of get that. I don't know how we got all the way off on marrying strippers.
I don't know how we got here. We were talking about being
because Sheldon say it's on fire. Whatever we're talking about. But one thing I want to talk about before we wrap it up.
Uber with the booty.
Uber with the booty, And they working it like it's a sales job. Selling the fantasy, selling the dream.
Strippers are some of the most amazing entrepreneurs. Like strippers understand, and we're not even gonna get to how people look down on women who commodify their own sexuality, even though our sexuality is commodified, whether we participate in it or not.
Oh my God. No, I want you to get into that. What is that? What is that?
People look down on a woman who gains control of her sexuality and profits off of it directly, all of a sudden is a problem. Right. But, the pimps and hoes been cool. We've been cool with knowing that a man is basically sexually trafficking women, and we praise the man. Gotcha. Oh, you a pimp. You know what I mean? Like you're an entrepreneur. Like you're good at business. You're getting girls hooked on drugs and keeping them in trap houses. Like good on you.
Yeah, and slapping them.
Yeah. And I'm like, as soon as a woman says, you know what, I'm gonna start an OnlyFans. Oh no, I can't mess with that. I can't mess with a girl with an OnlyFans. Why is it that when we profit directly off of our sexuality is the problem? But the it's gonna happen anyway.
Yeah. I was supposed to talk to a group of fathers about, the sexuality thing. And then fathers tend to want to control the sexuality of their daughters, but they want their mamas to bust it wide open. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I tell them, if your daughter goes to college, sex and alcohol is on the curriculum. Everybody takes that class and nobody fails.
Nope. And not only that, you high five your sons, right? You high five your sons.
Yeah. When they do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's like, again, I truly believe that you were not an overbearing father when I was like a teenager and I was dating. You were not a shotgun father. Right. Because what I personally believe is having daughters is karma. Like if you have put a lot of bad karma into the world, when you have a daughter, you are sweating, sir. Yeah. Because that she's gonna come across you. Mm. And she's not gonna be able. She's
attracted to you.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to tell her nothing about it. Right. You gonna look at him and see exactly who he is, and she's gonna be like, "No, that's the love of my life." Yeah. Okay, Jamal would never hurt me.
See, that's why roles have not flipped. Men will take a woman without money or a plan. A woman will not.
Okay, that's a fair point, Terrence. That's a fair point. But let me ask you this: a man that's taking a woman without a money or a plan, emphasis on a plan. What is he getting out of that relationship? You know what I mean? What's the purpose of that? Because from what I understand, men complain about women like that. Right. Women that just sit down and spend their money. They complain about it. They can't stand it. And then eventually they complain to their mistress about it. Because they don't want to talk to them no more.
The mistress? Yeah. That's the same thing as a side chick, or is that like the elevation?
Mistress, side chick. I'm using outdated terminology, but I want to know if you'll take it. Yes, it's true. Men will take and women will too. Let's be honest. Yeah. Let's be honest.
A hustle is a hustle. If a woman owns her own sexuality and profits from it, and is a functional member of our society, how can you honestly knock a hustle? And that's Sheldon.
I agree, Sheldon. You don't have to agree with someone's lifestyle to admire the hustle. Right. Point blank, especially if it's not affecting you.
It's funny because men from my generation, we don't really like the fact that we find out or we believe that our daughters will enjoy sex. Mm-hmm. We want their mothers to enjoy it with us, of course.
But we gotta be nuns.
Yeah, and
that's not how the world works, y'all. Y'all gotta get past that. Sorry.
Wild Princess is on one night. Just had this conversation with my 15-year-old. Your mom has asked me where I'm at. I'm with Jasmine. So, in wrapping this up, I don't know how we got all the way to here and what we were talking about.
We were talking about being humble.
I want to go back to the karma statement. Like, hold
on, Terrence gave us another.
Let's see what Terrence said. What I mean is she can be a nurse aide making $45K and never thought of making more, and we can be cool.
Okay. Yeah, I can totally understand that. I think and tell me if I'm wrong, Terrence, right? Because in my mind, how this dynamic would possibly go is you marry this woman who's a nurse, and nurses can make money. Let me just say.
Yeah.
You marry this woman who's a nurse, and her primary job, outside of being a nurse, becomes being a wife and a mother. Like I said, being a stay-at-home mom is 5 jobs within itself. Absolutely. At no point am I ever insinuating that staying home with children or staying home and maintaining a house is the easy way out. Right. I'm not saying that at all. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. She had the jobs of 5 grown people.
Right. And she had to take care of me.
And she had to take care of my dad, right? And she's still taking care of my dad as a real estate agent and flipping $1 million houses. Like, I'm not insinuating that, but I think what I'm trying to get at is that if you don't have that could have been her plan, is what I'm saying. Right. Because other than that, like, why else was she?
Well, I think, because I was there, that was not our plan. But in the old patriarchal church that we were coming up on, getting fed, we were fed that a woman shouldn't work. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? She shouldn't have a career. Her career is taking care of kids, because men didn't take care. Like, when I started changing diapers and walking the kids and hugging kids. Oh, you were man of the year. No, they thought I was turning my son gay. And they thought I was.
Now it's like, if you so much as take a picture at the park with your kids, you're like father of the year. Oh my God, you changed diapers?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, as a father, I felt like I was a equal parent. Mm-hmm. I really had something to give. Whereas the men who were my father's generation said, "Man, why are you doing that woman stuff? Why are you going grocery shopping? Why are you taking vacations with your kid? Why are you doing this thing?" Yeah. And so to me, it was dated advice. Mm-hmm. And so my wife had a degree. She was, doing dope stuff. When I met her, I was like, "Yo, we can build something dope," and we did. Yeah. But some part of me feels like, she didn't have her own identity. Mm-mm. Right. Yeah. And, we sat down about 5-6 years ago and said, "Hey, look, you need an identity. And what do you want to do? Because your kids are grown and your husband's crazy." Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And now she has her own identity. She can stand. Me and Gabe talk about this all the time. Women want to be needed. So that's why, if I'm in here, like, well, I do this, I cook for my husband, I fold all his clothes. But what we really want is we want our woman. Mm-hmm. And I tell my wife that want is higher than need. Absolutely. Because if you're dependent on me, I don't know why you're here.
But I think that's the real shift, Terrence, to address you specifically. The real shift is, before it was a need. There's an exchange of services and goods. Now it's a want. So if you are dating or choose to marry a nurse who's making $45K a year, has no desire to make more, has no career plans or whatever it is, it doesn't change the fact that 50 years ago, she'd be marrying you because she need to.
Right. She couldn't sign a lease.
Because she can't just do that, right? She can't sign a lease without you. She can't get a bank in her name. Now, right? Now it's actually like, okay, if y'all choose to get married, it's because y'all want to get married. It's not like, oh, I need a man. Right. I need someone to pay my rent. Right. You know what I mean? And I think that's the real shift. It's not about gender roles. Let's take gender roles out of it, gotcha. Right? Because you have stay-at-home fathers, mm-hmm. right? You have a lot of stay-at-home fathers working tech, making $250K a year, and mm-hmm. they're stay-at-home fathers. So, like, take the gender roles out of it. That's between you and your future wife, husband, partner, whatever. It's about getting married because you want to be there and the parameters around that.
The Bible actually says the father is supposed to raise the children. The church is wrong. And in fact, men ain't up to the bar. Women been holding it down for a long time. You know what? In the black community, Wash, it's funny because the church is a patriarchal structure, but mm-hmm. the black community is matriarchal. Like, mm-hmm. when I go to my mama's house, people like, "Did your dad live there?" Yes, but that's mama's house. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so we value our mothers in a way that is that's our culture. Yeah. We look at Big Mama. Big Mama is usually the wisest person in our family. And for me, Sam made a long ass comment. I might have to look this shit up later on. It won't even fit on the screen. Break that shit down, Sam. And what I was saying is that we have to understand that our women are really the center of the universe, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I agree. I'm a little biased. I'm a little biased. But no, there's women, you know what I mean? Like if you take care of a woman, you take care of a generation, because women, we're meant to be nourishing beings. Anything you give us, we multiply. And I think that's really the key, right? So when you're dating or when you're married, you should just realize that women, we're multipliers.
Yeah.
Like you give me a seed, I'll give you a garden. You give me a house. Child. Right. You give me a house, I'll give you a home.
Right.
You give me a headache, I will make your life hell. Ew. Anything you give to me, I'm going to project back onto you tenfold. Yeah. Right. And so now it's like, well, what are you bringing to me? Right. Because I mean,
speaking of multiplication.
Yes.
And, one thing I'm happy about both my daughters, you're my youngest daughter, is that I'm not a grandfather-in-law. Yeah. Right. So, you told me to see you were on this path and you didn't see any kids on your path. Are you still in that space where you don't see any kids in the path? Because I got people younger than me, like my cousin Randy, got 10 grandchildren, and I have none.
Yeah. So, I don't know if I really see, I definitely love the idea of children. I think I don't have it set in stone, right? So I'm not against it. I think it would be great in that season. I'm not in that season right now. I'm still in my selfish season. I also believe it's perfectly fine to be selfish. Yeah. And I think that sometimes being a mother is like forced on us to kind of calm us down or sit us down. Like, let's not go into how people be trapping women. Let's not go into that. But
let's not go into how people be trapping men.
You're right. But it's I feel like everyone thinks it's like women trapping men, but let's not talk about the men that be trapping women. Yeah. Right. It was very common in the 1950s to be like, to meet your wife in college. Yeah. Because women were going to college. Yeah. And to be like, oh, yeah, yeah, that journalism major. Yeah, girl, that's good. That's good. And then as soon as you get married, baby, well, you don't want to be a bad mom. Yeah, do you? So let's just stay home. But anyways.
Well, hold on. Let me rebut that, because there's a TV show called Maury. Right? And the whole premise is.
Yes, I know the premise of Maury.
Cats is getting 20 years down the line and find out they're not the father of these children. Yeah, right. And thank God for 23andMe and all these DNA shits.
The women's delegation, as a representative of the women's delegation, we do not claim any of these people. Yeah. We are as far away from them as possible.
But it happens within our own family.
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely happens. It absolutely happens.
And this is what Terence says. No baby is born today without a woman's consent. And I really don't want to go into that, because but when we have these discussions, we'll do that on the next one, because that's the Planned Parenthood discussion we'll be having.
Let me just tell you that is not true.
Okay. I need to hear that one.
That is polarizing, and it may feel that way. Yeah. But it is not true. It is not as easy as people think to have access to these types of things. You know what I mean? Texas just passed a law. I'm just going to keep it high level, because I could go with this all day. But Texas just passed a law to make it damn near impossible, right? To make that decision for yourself and your body. And so they like they like to rail on women when women get pregnant, and let's say it's unplanned, or it's as Terence will call it, an anchor baby, right? And they decide, you know what, maybe this isn't the best situation for me to bring a life into this world that's going to have to live my decisions. Maybe this isn't the best, and they decide to do something about that situation. It's very hard for them to do. It's harder than people think, right? The media makes it seem like you walk into Target and you order an abortion and you use self-checkout and,
like the vaccines.
Yeah, like you leave babyless. That's not what happens. And then when she decides to keep the baby, then now all of a sudden it's an anchor baby.
Those same people who were telling you not to have an abortion
are now saying, "Oh, you just trying to keep a man." Why
or not even that? Like, you're trying to lean on the government.
Yeah, you're trying to collect checks, and then so when you can't afford it, which is probably why you decided that it wasn't the best thing for you, and you need the government to help you out. You need WIC or these programs. Now all of a sudden, your government, you're mooching off the government, right? And then when you put your baby daddy on child support, because he discouraged. Let's not talk about the men that are all for it in the beginning, and then 6 months in, they decide they're not so for it. Yeah. We passed the deadline, player. This baby coming. And then when they put him on child support because he decided he don't want to be around, then all of a sudden they the angry baby mama. You know what I mean? So you can't win in that scenario.
Yeah, man. Can't. So look, we've been on for an hour. And what I want to say is, one thing I do appreciate about you, you've always been very opinionated, and a lot of times your opinions are backed up with facts that sound good to you. Right.
But you know what you taught me is that it only has to sound good to me.
Yeah.
I don't need someone to co-sign on what I feel like.
Absolutely. But what I'm saying is what I've learned from you is to be open, because there's certain things that I believe to be true that you've helped me, work through. And not saying that they're not true, but I see from a different perspective. And I think what happens is people, specifically parents, they don't allow for perspective.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, a different perspective.
And we can have a lot of discussions about that, of some of the things that we've been through as father and daughter, as business partners. Mm-hmm. And then even, dealing with your grandparents, and then being the golden child to the kids, but then the grandparents think, or the elders think you're the crazy child.
Yeah.
How do you feel about just your statue in the family? Whereas, certain kids are looked at as these, good, and it's like, oh, here comes Jasmine.
My lawyer informed me that all I can say is I love my family.
From a distance.
From a distance. No, I think it's real confusing when you feel like, you're not doing things in a conventional way. It definitely presses you to want to be successful because you need to prove.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, the nonviolent thing. I have, the pressure is on me and James to prove that we can be successful because you decided not to beat our ass.
Yes.
Right. So that was your decision. I have to prove.
Yeah. And
I have to prove that that's the good way to do it.
Well, I think you've already proven that. And I think because at 27, sitting here doing business with your dad, mm-hmm. doing business with your mom, because I just heard you get off the phone with your mom about doing her media campaign, traveling with your parents, taking a month off and going to Mexico because you want to. Mm-hmm. Because at 27 or 26 or somewhere between 18 and 29, I was not interacting with my parents because I felt like at that point I needed space from the upbringing. Just
grown.
Yeah, I'm grown now. Why am I talking to y'all?
Yeah.
Because you already told me y'all wasn't your little friend. You know what I'm saying? We ain't friends. Like, why you
don't call me?
Why you calling me? Like, we're not friends, remember?
Look.
And so I think that has already been proven. What I'm most excited about is this is a new level of parenting, right? New level of parenthood is parenting adult children. I'm thinking about, creating some content around how to, because what I meet a lot of, like, especially in graduation season, that mean dad who was being disciplined and doing what he thought he should do, and he wasn't wrong in most cases, is now, because of a failed relationship, not getting invited to the graduation. And guess who's getting invited to the graduation? Stepdaddy. But
stepdaddy's everywhere.
Yeah, but you told them you want their little friends.
Yeah.
And so now they're going to treat you like they treat people who are not their friends, And there's a big thing with people not fooling with their parents. So I'm just honored and happy that with all of our children, even the ones who don't like to appear on video, Shea Bird, and even the ones who think I'm a village idiot, James. No, he doesn't. We have a unique relationship. I'm just happy to be still in a space where you can make your own decisions that have nothing to do with me, and but we can still be in a space where we can share in that.
I think that I'm proud to say that if for some reason, people go missing and their parents are like, no, my child will never be at, a gay bar in the champagne room wearing a sequin thong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not my child. And it's like, I feel like if you found out that I went missing because I was chasing a churro truck into a lake, you'd be like, yep, that was about right. Like, you actually know who I am as a person. Right?
Yeah. Like, I remember a couple of times when I was concerned, and I remember one time you called me, and then the next time you were in Denver. Like, later on that afternoon, it was like, yo, like, you were just in Dallas. What happened? I got on a plane. Yeah.
Look, we move.
Well, Kim Kennedy said such a great dialogue and beautiful vibe between you two. I think it's unique that my man being watched said a great segment. I think, and I haven't seen it where a father and daughter do something like this where we really don't agree on everything.
No.
Right. And like, I
wouldn't say it's much though.
Well, it's not even whether it is or whether it isn't. It's we both have the ability to show up and support each other, whether we have different beliefs, because we're in different spaces. Yeah. We're in very different places. Like, I'm upset that the people who make decisions about women's health don't have a vagina, and even women who do have them, they're not active. They're like a volcano that hadn't erupted in 50 years, right? You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know what I'm gonna do about someone's coochie when that's not something I have to deal with. I don't have the highest mortality rate of childbirth deaths as being a Black woman. I don't have that, and so. Who should we talk to? We should really listen to Black women, or we should listen to women, people who are going through having to drive 900 miles to have a medical procedure.
Yeah.
And whether I agree with it or not is not, I'll never have to do it.
One, you do not have to agree with something to support the safe access to something.
Right.
Let me just put that there. No one is forcing you to do that.
Right.
You can choose not to. Right. You can be pro-choice, as in, it's not my choice. Right. Yeah. But it should be, in my opinion, abortion is not a new concept.
Right.
It's not. It didn't pop up in the last 20 years.
Gotcha.
It didn't pop up when they started building clinics. It's been, whether it was castor oil, wire hangers. I mean, let's talk about it. Like the back door alley, witches, shaman going into the woods, drink this and throw. Like it's been happening.
Gotcha.
The only difference is safe. And the difference between someone dying and someone being alive.
Mona Lisa gives a fourth thumbs up.
Right. And again,
no one... You didn't say hi to Mona Lisa.
Oh, hi, Mona. Hi, Auntie.
Yeah.
But no one's forcing you to do that. So I think the key is learning in life. There are a lot of things that I support that I don't agree with. Okay. Or that I don't do. It's not even that I don't agree with them, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things I support that I never do. Mm-hmm. Or I never participate in. Or it's just not my life.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? I can support the humanity and denounce the violence against Asian Americans. And I'm not Asian, right? But I can still speak up and I can still say, yo, this is not right. And I can still be an ally and be a supporter. I feel like you don't have to wave a flag for it in order to say, yeah, people should have safe access to medical procedures, right? Especially when we're talking about rape victims. We're talking about, let's go ahead and just post a graphic of every politician that signed that bill, their secret mistresses that they paid under the table for those abortions. Let's go ahead and just put that out there, right?
Put it all the way out
when it's going to end their political career, I guarantee you, they the first ones at the clinic when it opens.
Or like how dudes be on the anti-gay legislation, their kids turn up gay,
or them.
Yeah.
let's not even get into the pastors, y'all. Let's not get into the pastors that preach the hardest against the group of people that didn't do nothing to them.
Right.
And then let's talk about you turn out to be a power bottom, sir, in the name of Jesus.
What's a power bottom for those who
if you don't know, you don't need to know.
No, I think people should be informed.
I mean, you're a catcher, you're not a receiver.
Oh, okay. So you're not a punter, you're a catcher. You're a catcher.
Yeah. So again, you don't have to support something, do it, even interact with it day to day for you to support just basic human rights.
Cool.
But we might be getting a little too radical for the people on your timeline. So
all right. Well, hey, they're gonna have to catch up. All right, so we're gonna get out of here with a little bit of elevators.
Oh, and Terrence, yes, I definitely agree that law has nothing to do with women. But yes.
What's that? I'll put that up.
Yeah. He said the abortion law has nothing to do with women. You're right. You're right. I'm not even gonna talk about how pro-life is really just capitalism. Right? Y'all need people to work at Sonic. So you need teenagers having babies so that they can, work in the businesses that you own.
And on that, we out.